In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the most important esoteric and practical truths about what is required to jump paradigms in any area of your life, but especially money, with ease and grace, as always. Enjoy.
What is really required to make the big leap and become the person that we fantasize about being, right? What is actually required to make that leap and become capable, like the people that we tend to put on a pedestal?
This is like the theme of today's Sales Full Stop. So there's a lot that's right on the surface. Really, what we're talking about here is being ourselves. I don't know that that's like so romanticized, but that's not the language that people use to describe it. But I think one of the ways of describing the paradigm jump from math teacher in New York City public schools to multiple seven-figure CEO, what happened? I became who I actually am and stopped being who I'm not. What is the work that I guide my clients through? What is the work that I know my colleagues and peers have gone through? It is the work of becoming themselves. And in a world where we are deeply conditioned by culture, parents, history, ancestry, this is a huge feat and an ongoing one. You know, I don't feel like I'm done. I'm just perfectly myself now. But I'm so different. I'm so much more free as myself than I was 10 years ago. And I consistently get the feedback from my clients and the communities that I serve that the thing about me that feels so liberating to them is the permission to be themselves and tell the truth. Tell the truth about who they are. Tell the truth about what's happening. So I think that that's inherently like it is our birthright to be ourselves, of course. But the actual experience of that can feel so naked, so unprotected, and so dangerous, both because it's vulnerable, but also because at some point along the way, we were told not to be ourselves. Otherwise, we would be already. So there's a lot to overcome, a lot to, be courageous in the face of the fear.
I got to say, I wasn't expecting that answer because I asked you the question of like, what does it take to make this big leap to be the person that we idolize, the people out there that we put on a pedestal? And then you said, yeah, be yourself. Talking about, I want to be like somebody else, Jesse. I want to be powerful and successful and confident and, all the things like that person over there. And then you're like, yeah, no, be you.
Yeah.
That makes no dang sense. Tell me how that makes sense. I said I want to be like them over there, and you said be you. How does that get me there? And why do I not? You're saying on the other side of this big jump is me.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I not see that? Why do I see somebody else? Why am I putting other people on the altar?
So tender, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love hearing you talk about it because it does make so much sense to me, even more, as I hear you, I just see and hear parts of myself. The nature of the way that we compare ourselves to others is almost always how they're different. Almost always is really, really unusual that we're like, oh, I'm just like me. In fact, if you study spirituality for long, you're bound to find a meditation teacher who will do that exercise with you. Just like me. I'm trying to think who taught me this. Mirabai Bush is the first person who did this exercise with me. And she had me sit. I was actually at a retreat with my mom. We sat across from each other and Mirabai guided us through this meditation. Just like me, this person has suffering. Just like me, this person wants more for their lives. Just like me, this person wants to be healthy. Just like me, this person wants to have money. Just like me, and it was profound. So it's like, that's spirituality, spiritual practice cultivates this understanding of how we are connected, how we are similar. But our egos and our material lenses on the world do the opposite. So of course, when we look at Oprah, we're like, totally different from me. And so I think that's the first kind of misunderstanding, is making the assumption that looking at differences is what's going to make somehow the comparison meaningful. And in the process of that misunderstanding, I think we miss the truth, which is the reason that we admire Oprah is because she is so much herself. And I'll give her room to grow and become even more of herself. But that's what we admire. She is unapologetically herself. I think in this community, anyone that's watching this, the people that we admire are deeply themselves. But I don't know that we don't recognize that because we don't know them to be anything else. And we're busy comparing themselves and how we're different. So I think that's like core ingredient is missing, combined with the fact that truly, truly our whole lives, explicitly and implicitly, we've been told to be different than we are, to conform to this shape, get good grades so that you can become, like follow the rules, dress like this person, talk like this person. Oh, you can't speak that way. That's not proper English, like whatever. And so much of society is built to turn us into these homogenous beings. Ironically, although we have so much in common, part of what makes us human is that we are all different. All of us, every single human is mechanically built differently than every other person, period. And so I think that's also, it's like, what a mess of a tangle we get into. Like, be more like Oprah, whatever that means, missing the be yourself, because no, don't be yourself. Be good, be right, be smart, be wealthy, be like these people. The be like Oprah is the problem. Unless we understand that being like Oprah, the only way we can truly be like Oprah is to be ourselves. Just let's shout out to Oprah, because God bless her. Bhagavad Gita says it is better to live your own dharma imperfectly than to live someone else's dharma perfectly. And to be honest, when I first was reading and studying the Bhagavad Gita, I don't think I really had any idea what that meant, really. But I think we're talking about it now. I think this is it. And so it's like, to the extent that we are, any of us, all of us, because I think we all are, including Oprah, a little bit, if not a lot, playing a role. We might be brilliant at that role. I was a brilliant good girl. Brilliant. One of the best good girls on the planet. So like, just to be really clear and transparent, it is totally possible to live someone else's role, someone else's life, someone else's paradigm. It's just not good for you. And it's not necessary, and it's not beneficial to the world. The world needs who you are. I think if we examined any of the world problems, poverty, war, oppression, injustice, criminalization, unhealth, like if we really unpacked any of those global issues and like could I don't know how we do this with computers, but imagine Neil deGrasse Tyson doing some kind of computer simulation that represents the change in the world if we all lived our own dharma, and that alone. And I feel like that is the key, actually. All of the things that are currently plaguing the world would immediately transform.
Oh my gosh. I got this visual of like going from the frenetic to the harmonious, from this tangled mess to like something just completely relaxing and becoming simple. And also, when you were the world's best good girl, you weren't making multiple seven figures, impacting the lives of, thousands of people. There was such a hard cap on that. It wasn't doing anything, really. And I'm sure you weren't feeling that great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not mad at what you just said. It's harsh, and I think it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm happy you're here
I
now.
felt like, yeah, I did. I felt like a cog in the wheel that was just perpetuating more of the same nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Not that everything is nonsense, but the things that are nonsense, that's what I was perpetuating against every best effort. It was like I couldn't seem to move the needle because I wasn't being myself. Not really.
Yeah. And so the next question then is, so many people have this idea that, oh, becoming a millionaire is dependent on who you know, what class you were born into, the circumstances, how hard you work, or just luck. Oh, they got lucky. You know, we see these kinds of glib attitudes and responses often on social media where people are just so like dismissive of other people's success because they're just like, oh, no, let me excuse that away with something that they don't even know to be true. How then can a paradigm shift, jumping from one mindset, one mentality, one perspective to another, be a catalyst, a causation for allowing us to become, in this case, a millionaire?
From a mathematics perspective, 3 points define a plane. And with less than 3 points, you don't have enough information. With more than 3 points, there's multiple planes almost always. So there's something magic about these three as the kind of, I'm resisting saying formula, as the recipe, as the key ingredients for becoming a millionaire or creating any exponential change. And the first is vision. So truly, millions of dollars are not better than hundreds of thousands, are not better than hundreds, except for your desire for any of those numbers. That's first and foremost. It goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about being ourselves, living our dharma. It's like your number is your number and yours alone. If you are trying to create someone else's number, it's either not going to work or it's going to work and feel terrible, come at a really high cost. So there's when I say vision, I mean your unique desire, your true desire, your deep purpose, what that looks like. And you know that because it's what you want, because it lights you up, because it gets you excited. It can also terrify you, but it's real. You feel it's real. That's the first leg. The second leg is mindset. And I think that that's huge in our culture because we, generally speaking, all of us have a middle class mindset that says you got to work hard in order to do what you love. Like you got to sacrifice now so you can benefit later. This is very much, I don't know that it only comes from the kind of Christian millennial lineage, but a lot of that, like work hard now so that you can go to heaven, be a good person now so you can go to heaven. I think that there's essential teachings in there, but the kind of toxic version of that story is sacrifice what you love. And maybe later you'll get lucky and get to have it for a little bit. That's just not, I just don't believe that's what we're here for. I don't believe that that's represents our potential, any of us. And I don't think, to get a little political and activist on you, like, I don't believe we have time to do that. We whatever it is that every individual on our planet is truly dreaming of, I guarantee is a puzzle piece in our world's future. And we don't have like our world's future is looking pretty questionable to me, frankly. Like, I believe in God, so I'm not worried about it. But what's happening here? There's no time to waste. So mindset has to do with both the willingness to want what we want, believe we can have it, believe the resources are here, to expect that we can do it, to expect we can be successful. Just like when we see a 5-month-old struggling to crawl, we believe they'll figure it out. Just like when we play hide and seek with a 2-year-old, we believe we're going to find them. Even in the greatest mysteries, that we have that kind of confidence and certainty. I think that's not trivial. It's not trivial to develop that kind of mindset. but it is possible because I did it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And then the third leg of the stool is strategy, the how. I think that the how is really, I only want to talk about the how in this context. So many people want to only talk about the how. And I think it just doesn't make sense to do that. It's arbitrary. It doesn't have meaning. Then that won't work either because it doesn't have legs.
Dun, dun.
It just has a leg, right? So it matters to talk about strategy, but only in the context of vision, mindset, and strategy together. This is not about luck at all. Karma, I think, plays into it, but even that, people can ignore their karma. People can not live their karma. Like that's, again, the same conversation about playing a role. I don't know that I don't have a reference point for luck. So people either mean privilege, sometimes unearned privilege, which is, again, more, I think, about karma, or they mean gratitude. Like if I'm like, I'm so lucky to have a kid that I love, it's like, what I mean is I'm so grateful, so grateful. So making the paradigm shift, I think it's very concrete and it's accessible and available to everyone. Vision, your true vision, doing the mindset work to line that leg up with the vision, right? If you want to have a 9-figure business, you got to have a mindset that supports that. And then strategy. So raising our standards on the quality of our own attention, I think, is also really important in the process.
A common obstacle and reason why we may feel stuck or confused on next steps in going for it is believing that we need to already have the money, some money. We need to already have some success, some proof. We need to already have a profitable business in order to make it to, our grand vision. And what would you say to that? Why would you say that it's not about what we already have, that it's about rather our willingness or just looking forward? Can you speak to that?
I'm pretty sure that every success story ever told had a beginning, middle, and end, first of all. Like, and the beginning and the end are not the same. That's the whole point. So I think there's a fundamental kind of logical issue with this part of our thinking. I totally recognize it, but it's one of those places where our subconscious, this is a clear subconscious hack because it doesn't make sense that would be true. And it's subconscious because if we believe it, we'll never move forward. Because if we can only have more by having more, and we won't let ourselves reach for more until we have more, that's how we get stuck. So the little droppings of the subconscious when that's the conclusion, when you kind of come to a fixed point and there's nowhere to go. And the subconscious only comes up with stories like this to protect us. So what is the subconscious protecting us from? Always growth, new experience, mystery, the danger of the unknown. So it's important also to not just like, well, that's ridiculous, I'm not believing that. It's like, no, it is ridiculous. It's not true in that way. It's ridiculous in that it's like there's a blue elephant living in my office. Can't you see it? It's like that. But also there can be compassion and tenderness and curiosity. Like, why do I feel that way? Oh, because the alternative is fear. I'm really scared to live my purpose. I'm really scared to put myself out there and see what happens when I am myself and someone doesn't like me. Easier to tolerate someone not liking me when I'm playing a role. Easier to get people to like me, frankly, when I'm playing a role. Because then I can just be what they want. Mm-hmm. But that's manipulation. That's not a true, authentic relationship.
The droppings of the subconscious. Watch out, y'all. If you see that poo, something is up. But I really appreciate what you just said there, because it makes me feel like we could almost take that a step further. And anytime we're thinking a thought that makes us feel stuck, oh, there's no hope. Like, oh, I don't already have this thing, the end. Anytime we have the story going that gives us no out, gives us no hope, I feel like, okay, cool. Immediately. How do I feel? I feel hopeless. I feel like there's no choice here. That's gotta be a lie. Oh, look, poop. Subconscious droppings all over this.
I love it so much. I love this so much in part because it makes me think about this theory of group dynamic that comes from modern psychoanalysis that has basically trains analysts, therapists, group facilitators to use their own emotional experience as data for what might be happening in the room. When you express this, like, oh, I feel hopeless, that activated this training for me. Like, oh yeah, when I feel hopeless, one of the tools that I have is, who else in the room feels hopeless right now? And if it's only me, I don't normally ask that question, but it's still the right question because I'm carrying around other people in my own head. Sometimes I'm carrying around our entire culture in my own head. So who else in the world feels hopeless? Well, lots of people, lots of people. So that immediately, that sort of like gives me this psychedelic three-dimensionality of like, whoa, wait, time just bent, you know? Who else is feeling hopeless? Where is this hopelessness coming from? If it wasn't just me, who else would be holding it? Oh, the whole world, the whole world. Oh, yeah. Let's love on that. It changes the dynamic of working with the hopelessness to recognize where it comes from. Oh, this is perhaps also mine, but more than mine. More than mine. And wouldn't it be worth doing something different than just letting that drive the rest of my life? Wouldn't it be worth it to prove to myself and maybe some other people that hope is real? Our desire to serve and help the planet is a huge asset to our business growth and hacking our own mindset, because sometimes it's hard we don't always believe in ourselves as much as we want to help the world. And that can be used to our advantage, you know, because if your desire to help the world is strong enough, that can sort of win the race and lead you into serving at the higher level that will also bring in more of your own desires and fulfill the vision that's flowing through you.
Would you say the same thing of our relationship with money in general? If we're not talking specifically of the practice of sales, if we were to heal our relationship with money, is that the same sort of domain that allows for this jump to being our true self?
Of course. I do think it's abstract though. What, at least the way you just said it. And I think that's very common. So I love that you said it that way. But it's real easy for people to get lost. Oh, I'm working on my relationship to money. What does that mean? What does that look like? What are you doing? And I think that's it's not a bad thing. It's just that there's a lot more room for precision. And where there isn't precision, there's a higher risk of unconsciousness. And wherever there's unconsciousness, then you're going to go back into your roles and programs and lose yourself. So I don't know if that's the answer that you were looking for, but I think that the work around money has some extra paradigms that make it even harder to stay conscious. And so it's important when working on your relationship to money, healing your relationship to money, getting empowered around money, to make that really concrete and specific, to use numbers, to work with people, to look at your bank statements, to set financial goals, to do, like, really. Otherwise, I'm not sure that you're actually doing the thing that you want to be doing.
I think that's actually the perfect response because, like you say, always, money touches everything. And everything in our life experience has informed our relationship to money. And if we go in there willy-nilly, like one eye closed, like you said, no specificity, then it is easy to get lost. You know, that's like going down into Hades, into the underworld without a guide, without a knowing of, you know, which is up and down. And it's confronting down there. It's dark down there. There are shadows down there. And so when you said, know some numbers, work with some people, you know, work with good people that you vetted. This is all what people actually need to hear, because otherwise it's going to be hard and you might hurt yourself some more. Might get a little lost. And so, you know, the big jump is for everyone. And thankfully, you know, here at JJC, you've got brilliant experience helping so many people with this. And we've got containers for people to come in and get this kind of expert support, be in a safe space.
We really do.
Yeah.
We're doing good fucking work over here.
Yeah.
It's really, really such an honor.
Everything you want is already here.